The entire team at Emsolation want to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We want to recognise that we are recording and telling our stories on the stolen land of our country's first storytellers. We wish to pay our respects to all Wurundjeri elders and ancestors, and to extend that respect to any First Nations peoples who listen to Emsolation. We recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples' continued connection to the land and waters of this country, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. Always was, always will be.
Emrasiano.
So much
what
fingering.
happens? Yeah.
I felt the spirit of the fingers. I did. Spirit fingers.
And Michael Lucas.
That means 8 years worth of boomers have died and 8 years
Whoa,
worth of Z
okay.
have come in. It's just the truth.
This is Emsolation.
What was your emotion when the news first hit you?
I felt smug.
I like your honesty.
You're in Emsolation.
Oh my God, there's so much to talk about. I've even got my little dragon game of House of Dragon book. I'm obsessed with
What, do you
House
pull
of Dragon.
that out just for the biggest political crisis?
It's so good.
Adrian's obsessed with it. I haven't.
It's so good.
There's
There's
so much dragon action. I've seen that.
the dragons,
And
sky
there's
puppies,
penis.
the sky
I know
puppies.
that too.
There's lesbianism too.
It's got everything
We
you're
got
looking for.
full
There's
on.
full male nudity from one of the guys.
Yes.
Oh no, we got Peen from
I've seen
Agon.
that bit,
We got
don't worry.
Agon Peen.
Yeah.
Of course you've seen that bit.
No,
Seen
it's,
that in a dragon battle.
oh my God, and I have.
And I saw the old lady dying on the
that was
dragon.
so sad.
Was it?
She's a queen. She's fucking. She was great. I'm sad they killed her.
Yeah.
And there's wild dragons now. They're finding new dragons I didn't even know existed. And the two new dragon riders with the hot black Valerian, yes. Sea Smoke has a type. Sea Smoke's one of the dragons. His original dragon was like a queer black Valerian Targaryen. That they're gone. And so the Sea Smoke now went and tracked down another hot, queer, black Valerian. Sea Smoke the dragon went and to the rider and said, "Get on my back, bitch." It was amazing.
How could it be?
After Sea Smoke fried a mediocre white knight who tried to ride him, fried him, went and found the hot black queer guy. Get on. Sea Smoke, president. Vice president. Kamala's now looking for vice president. I am putting up Sea Smoke the dragon from House of Thrones, House of the Dragon. Sea Smoke for VP.
Nothing that you said made any of that any clearer. It does surprise me that there are full amusement park rides that are the Quidditch broomsticks in Harry Potter, but no one has done Ride a Dragon theme park ride.
Well, they fucking should. And they've nailed the dragons. The CGI on the dragons are...
I know, it's better. I know, I've noticed.
I hate watching dragons fight. I would rather watch
Really?
humans fight. It was so sad. Sky puppies. They're sky puppies. They look like Lola. They look like my dog up in the air flying. Lola looks like Falcor from Neverending Story. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Part of the reason I fell in love with her because she looks like Falcor. Welcome to Emsolation. My name is Em Russiano. I'm a writer, a singer, a stand-up comedian, a maximalist power queen, a neurodivergent magic brain, a podcaster, and the holder of a dragon notebook. I have to fight Elio for this. He says it's a book of spells. I know.
What does he want to do with it?
Oh, he just wants to draw maps in it.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And I'm writing notes about Kamala Harris. So both noble causes. This is
quests.
Emsolation. I'm here with my best friends since I was 11, screenwriter Michael Lucas. And we talk about penises, politics, and princesses, and we will be discovering all of that this week. Not so much penis talk.
I was going to say.
I know. There's surprisingly a lack of peen recently, but much to discuss. Although, no, there
In
was
pop culture, you mean?
pop culture.
Well, lack of peen in pop culture
yeah,
or just in life?
No, I've been getting lots of peen through the Vikings and House of the Dragon. Although not peen. Agon peen is a bit like, I imagine if you saw Voldemort's peen. Yeah. I wasn't into it.
Okay.
Can we make sure I'm saying the right son? Is it Agon?
I think so.
The guy with the eye patch?
Yeah.
All their names
Eye
are very
patch Peen.
similar.
Right.
Eye patch peen. Eye patch
I
peen.
believe it's Amond.
Amond,
Amond.
thank you. With the
You are
Amond, you're right.
Right.
Amond with the stunning blonde hair. He has
Yes.
the best wig. They've put all their money into Amond's wig. Everyone else's wig is terrible. Except for the sea snake's wig. His is actually quite good too.
Excellent wig, but you still didn't want to see his penis, but you did see it.
I saw, he's fully stands up and we get full frontal Peen from Eye Patch Targaryen, but it was like Voldemort at that scene where Voldemort's hunched over at the end of Harry Potter on the train
Not
station,
erotic.
the all-white train station.
Not on the Spank Bang for you.
No, it's the opposite, in fact. If ever I need to calm myself down, I'll think of Targaryen Eye Patch Peen. Yeah, it's not gorge. But
Has anything happened in the world?
a bit's been going on, and Michael and I need to get to it. So we're going to be discussing, first of all, we're going to be talking about Outgrown and how an audience member of mine actually stopped breathing. Paramedics were called. That was in the rule. Then we're going to talk about, obviously, Joe Biden has stepped down. We're going to talk about the machinations around that. Then we're going to head into sealed section. And yeah, that's right. You got to pay for the good stuff. And we're going to be discussing how Kamala can win, who her VP pick's definitely going to be. I'm going to make that prediction. We've got so much to get through. Let's start off, though. I did shows 4 and 5 over the weekend.
What's the total number of shows?
15.
Wow.
I know.
So you're a third way,
Yeah.
first act done.
First act is done. And my God, the drama.
Drama.
So on Friday in Thirroul, first of all, my band's plane was the last one to take off from Melbourne Airport before the massive Microsoft glitch hit
That
the
was
world.
like, didn't it feel like Y2K,
It
what
did.
we imagined it was going to be, but it just suddenly happened?
It was wild.
Yeah.
So all the planes were kind of grounded and weird, but they were in the air. So they landed. Then there was a huge accident. There's 2 roads into Thirroul, which is kind of half an hour away from Wollongong. Like and Thirroul's beautiful, by the way. I found out where all the rich Sydney people are buying up property because you've got, it looks like Forks from Twilight, but you've also got the beach. So you got
Is it kind of like, is it sort of like where you might imagine they might have filmed Babe? Or like,
No.
is it like all rolling hills? No.
No, it feels more like Forks.
Foresty.
Yeah, it's like Twilight.
Wet forests.
It is, yeah, it's real.
And werewolves.
The mountains are like this behind the houses and the
Okay.
ocean, and they're stone's throw from each other. It's beautiful, amazing terrain.
Yeah.
And a lot of wealthy to-dos are there, you can tell. A lot of Winnebagos, a lot of boomers.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a massive accident
Mm.
just after Dad and I and Odie and half the crew drove through.
Mm.
The band had gotten through, and then there was a huge accident. There's only 2 roads into Thirroul, and it was one of those roads. So this show, we get this message saying, half the audience and the VIPs are stuck in this huge accident. They were calling Anita's, the theatre. Anita's is the most amazing theatre in Australia. So I found out the backstory. Taken over by this Italian man who's very passionate about theatre, and he decided to install 15 different looks. I mean, you had House of Versace, you had Roman Empire stuff. Like, he borrowed from a lot of different eras to build. There was chandeliers in the toilet with like Queen Victoria mirrors. There was a cabinet with good china in it. That was Anita's good china. So Anita, the developer's wife, died during construction.
Oh.
So he named the theatre after her. But the problem is Anita did all the bookwork and all the housekeeping and accounting, and so he ended up going bankrupt because he didn't know where any of it was because she didn't tell him. I know, double sad. But the theatre is
Lives
camp
on.
as fuck. It's so
Did
camp.
you feel at home there?
I've never felt more at home in any place in my life. Also,
Better than the Gold Coast Casino? Not-
Yes.
I mean, fabulous venue.
so much.
but-
No, not a fabulous venue. The bowels of hell. But this venue also, prior to it being taken over, was a roller rink, like for roller skating in the 80s. It was
Or
perfect.
fingering, depending
So
on
much
what
fingering.
happens. Yeah.
I felt the spirit of the fingers. I did. Spirit fingers.
And that was comforting for you.
Totally. So we're like, we had to push the show back starting 40.
Oh, you did an Instagram message. And when you first popped up, because of course our favourite genre of Instagram messages is the diva tearfully saying that the show can't go on. And I had 1 second where I thought,
Yeah.
but it was fine.
It was
You were just
fine.
like, we're just going to push it back.
We pushed it back.
there was
we pushed
no,
it back.
my show ain't ready.
No, my show is weddy. So we pushed the show back. So we've had the glitch.
How long?
The accident, 45 minutes.
That's quite a bit.
It was huge.
Were there some, do people get trolleyed?
Yeah, there was a bit of that. Also, some people rocked up with 20 minutes to go of the show. And as they rocked
Because
up,
of the traffic?
yes, they were stuck for 2 hours
no.
on a 35-minute drive. 2 hours. They were stuck
Like
in traffic.
how many?
And
Like-
they didn't turn around and go home. They still turned up to the show.
Oh.
And as people were arriving, a medical emergency, literally, a group of people walked in, a medical emergency is unfolding. I'm at the start of the ballad that I wrote. It's a very quiet, beautiful moment in the
most
show.
somber,
Yeah.
reflective moment of the show.
I start singing and then I hear, stop the show. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I stopped singing. I stopped everything down really quickly. I feel like Barbara might have kept going.
Oh, absolutely.
I made the choice to stop very quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just yelled, just instinctively, house lights up. So Sadi, my lighting guy, brings the lights up and a woman has collapsed right at the back of the theatre.
And so seated in her seat.
Seated in her seat, slumped down.
Oh, Jesus.
White. And I would say late 60s, I think. And there with her daughter.
Yeah.
The daughter's panicking.
Madonna's age.
And I commandoed off. I jumped down off the stage. My team are like, get backstage. Don't go out into the audience. I pulled my ears out dramatically, ignoring them. Because I'm like, fuck that. Like a member of my community is going, what am I going to do? Go hide backstage? So I went into the audience in leotard. I'm stalking around like an unhinged panther. Like I'm just telling people because people were getting, also with my audience full of first responders, full of mothers, nurses, teachers, ambos, doctors.
There are a lot of queer paramedics.
Zeke was having to tell people to stop helping. We're in a situation where Zeke was like, we don't need, there was literally nurses 10 deep.
We respect your intentions, but also
Totally.
none of us can breathe at this point.
So then we have one of the nurses yell, we need defib. I was like, Jesus. She stopped breathing. So paramedics were there so quickly.
So the traffic jam had gone. Thank God.
No,
no.
They were in. They were town. They were once based in Thurrool.
Okay, yeah.
And her husband was like a well-known doctor in the town. So her husband ended up coming.
Who was she with?
Her daughter.
Okay.
So we got them out, and I had to hold the show for about 35 minutes. And at this point, so we get them out. I'm talking.
When you're saying holding the show, are you still like?
We're not. We got to get clearance. We got to make sure she's out.
Okay.
Everyone inside is okay. There's not mass hysteria, not mass panic. Like this is a whole thing. My team, Zeke and Lucy, they were so cool under pressure. The venue was amazing. We kept all the house lights up. I was chatting to everyone. People were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes." And then we finally got clearance. We put the lights down. I got back up on stage, and I had to make a choice. Like, what do I do from? Like, what do I do in terms of the show, and how do you actually get things back on track?
But had they treated her in the theatre, or had they taken her out?
So no, we got her out. We got her out.
Okay.
She actually walked herself out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they brought her with all the well-meaning people doing chest pumps and helping her out. She came to, and it just ended up being a blood pressure situation.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's what they told us.
So blood pressure dropped
dramatically. She passed out.
Did you say check your iron?
No, I just remembered the last time I was in Sydney, someone broke their leg and the paramedics were called.
Wasn't that alcohol related?
No, there was also a woman who, because of alcohol, got taken to get her stomach pumped. Sydney, New South Wales, go hard. But I had to get the show back on track and recover, and I'm thinking about how would I want this to go. I made the choice to not sing the ballad at all.
Right.
And I said to them all, I'm really dysregulated right now and I don't want to stop the show. I don't want to send you all home. So I'm going to do the thing I do within the show to regulate. So I sat down and we released the confetti and the music and we had a really quiet moment where I made them all take 3 big deep breaths and we had the confetti and the music and then I was on the fly trying to remember the bits of the show that I needed to put in to tie it all together at the end. So I had to kind of insert little stories that were missed.
Yeah.
But I put it all together and it ended up okay and we ended on time.
Oh, it would have been obviously you preferred nothing like that would ever happen, especially for her. But imagine that audience must have felt like they've been taken on a genuine emotional roller
some of
coaster.
them are complaining they didn't get the ballot. No, it's no pleasing everyone.
There's no pleasing everyone. Really?
Anytime I see that written, it'd be great if you could release that song. We got ripped off. We missed out. I'm like,
Jesus
babes,
Christ. Can I just say
I did my best.
Some divas drop whole sections of their show without, remember when we saw Madge, she dropped like a prayer out of all the fucking numbers.
I know.
And not because someone stopped breathing. Just because
she felt like it.
Felt a bit tired that night.
I did my absolute best. And also I realised ADHD hive mind really played well to me because I was able to, Lucy said it was like watching a scientist put together little sums in the air because that my brain works best.
That's a good challenge.
So I was going back through the script on the spot, sieving it, thinking about what I'd done, what I needed to do to get to the end point to make the whole thing make sense, to get my pull through. And I did it all. And Lucy's in my ear she's going, you're amazing. Lucy was just pumping me up because she couldn't help me.
Yeah.
Normally she didn't know where I was going.
To prompt the script.
So I ad-libbed the entire last 30 minutes of the show because I had to help it all make sense.
Wow.
And we got there and she's okay, but I did not sleep. The adrenaline.
And you still had to do a show the next night.
And I did Sydney the next night.
And that was sold out at the Enmore.
Yeah, and it was great.
Yeah.
But it was calm. It was chill.
Right.
It was weirdly, we all got off stage and we were all like, oh, that went to plan.
Anyone else missing the adrenaline
Yeah,
kick?
what's going on?
But
Yeah.
do they, like, every show has a different character, and obviously the Thirroul show is, like, has its own particular thing. How is the Sydney compared to, say, I don't know, Gold Coast or Brisbane? How is it compared to Brisbane?
Brisbane was way rowdier than Sydney.
Rowdier.
Yeah. Brisbane went louder and they were really like excited and over the top. Sydney was, I don't know, it's hard to compare because also I just wanted a regular show. So I kept everything really tight. I didn't really go off piece or anything. It was a great show. It was probably our strongest show in terms of everything it was polished. It really found its strap. It hit its straps. It was good. It was strong.
You had no sleep.
But it wasn't as rowdy as Brisbane, and Thirroul wasn't. We in Sydney. It was good. It was great. And this weekend we've got Adelaide, Perth, and Bunbury, which I'm really, because Adelaide and Perth are basically sold out. I think we're down to 40 tickets in Perth and 90 tickets in Adelaide, which is so great. So come along. Bunbury is only half full. So I need about 100 more people to not lose money on Bunbury. And it's so weird that I can sell out the Perth Concert Hall and barely make a dent. But I feel like a lot of people have come from Bunbury to Perth. So Bunbury, or if you can't make the Perth show on Friday night, Bunbury's about a hop, skip and a jump. I think it's about an hour 20.
That's not bad.
It's fine. So think about coming to the Sunday Bunbury show. But I'm very much looking forward to, because two big full theatres is always lovely as a performer in Adelaide and Perth. So it's going to be.
Oh, and then you'll be halfway.
Then I'll be halfway.
You'll be a bit sad.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I can tell.
People are loving it too, which is just half the battle. All right.
Let me just stand up.
Michael's got to stand up. Michael's got to stretch for this next topic because, my God, we nearly called an emergency pod, but then I thought, no, the smart thing to do is to let things unfold and air so that we have more. And thank God we did, because more information has come to light.
Also, thank God we're a little bit later than normal, because even to not have today's development.
I know. So, Joe Biden has obviously stepped aside and finally realised that he is not the person to head into the November 5th election against Donald Trump.
Finally, Nancy got through.
She really did. And the K-Hive is going off because Kamala. So people say her name so many different ways.
I know, it's driving me crazy. Adrian's mum's gone with Camilla.
No, that's wrong.
I know.
But I've
And
heard
also Camilla is another
Americans, a lot of
unstoppable
Americans,
diva in our lives and a survivor.
a lot of Americans say Kamala,
Yeah.
and there's Kamala, which is.
Oh, and Trump's got a weird thing going on with it too.
I've heard. I feel like the Southeast Asian portion. I feel like it would be Kamala, like in terms of people say Emilia in Italy, but we say Emilia. Like it's hard to know, but I'm just going to go with Kamala.
Yeah, me too. Because I remember her saying that her stepdaughters call her Marmala.
Exactly. And that's I've seen a few funny memes where they're like, we're just going to call you Marmala.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Kamala confidently.
Yeah.
She has put her hand up and said, I want to not only win this nomination, but I want to defeat Trump.
Yes. And
Now-
he endorsed her.
And Joe very quickly endorsed her, followed by the Congressional Black Caucus,
Yeah.
which is
Yes.
all the African American
Key.
members of Congress, key.
Yeah.
Then
And the Clintons.
AOC,
Yes.
she came out strongly.
I know, which she had done like an hour-long Instagram live saying, I feel really conflicted about not sticking with Joe Biden, but then she was hard on
Yeah,
him.
she came out. Bill and Hillary, obviously. Then we clinched and cinched Charlie XCX, thank God.
Thank God. Oh, and Barbara.
Barbara, Katy Perry, weirdly sipping a cocktail, popping on some lip gloss. It sang a cappella, It's a Woman's World, straight after the announcement. Tina
Of course.
Knowles
Yep.
and Elizabeth Warren,
Oh.
Jim Clyburn, like all the biggies.
Yeah. Also, do you think this is got to be the most blockbuster political bombshell 10 days? Like if this were a season of The West Wing, you would say jump the shark. Like it was just absolutely. I remember the time when it was like there was the Access Hollywood tape of Trump and then Hillary's emails in a short space of time, and it just felt like it just does not get any more bananas than this. But this is
bonanza
to go.
And didn't it need it?
Assassination attempt, blood, fist pump, convention. He drops out. Now the first woman of color is running for president. It's head spinning.
It's head spinning.
It can it? I can't handle it if it's something else is going to happen that's just upending this again.
Really going to affect voter turnout now, because I reckon it would have been record low turnout, and I think it's going to flip.
I hope so.
I genuinely think this is going to get the Zs up, the Zs, and the Zs could be the one to save the free world. And I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
Kamala, I'm just going to keep refreshing her duet with Chappell Roan. Chappell Roan will be announced shortly. I'm sure that's the next thing, because she's adopted the Charlie XCX brat.
And also, I've seen headlines that say, "Oh, now I can't even fucking say it again." Kamala nominated, like doing a Chappell. Yeah, that's really hard.
Kamala nominated. Hey,
Chappell's taking a step back from public life.
I'm not surprised, and I did say that.
Yeah, spinning out.
Chappell has had she's gone.
She needs a breath.
And she's an anxious young lady. I've watched some of her stage clips. I get it.
Yeah.
Some people are turning up at like her family's workplaces, and she's like, "You guys are
That's
being
where we need Secret Service there.
chill."
We need her.
But I am expecting something along those lines. But yes, the brat. If you don't know, Charlie XCX has released the gay summer album of the decade, and the Fire Island gays, and the colour is lime green, and there's a certain font, and everyone's doing that as a meme. And instantly the social media gays who work for Kamala have on her like Facebook banner put the green and Kamala's name in the brat font. They're onto it. They know.
Can I just ask, what was your emotion when the news first hit you? Or give me the cycle of what you went through.
I felt smug.
I like your honesty.
I felt smug. I felt vindicated.
Yeah.
I felt overly confident in my abilities to psychically predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that. Go hard today on the VP pick.
Yeah.
I felt scared. I felt scared that we're in a weird bubble of hope and elation, because so many of us who have kind of, who aren't on Donald Trump's side of politics have been wandering the desert exhausted and thirsty and just looking for one tiny drop of hope and distressed. And then all of a sudden you just get this influx of water and hope and joy, and you worry that it's a false economy. And then I was also conflicted because I'm like, she's been there all along. Why did it take this man literally keeling over for them to consider the female black option? I honestly wonder if she had have been just a white dude, that this wouldn't have happened sooner. Yeah. I also feel hope. I do.
Yeah. I feel hope and fear in equal measure.
Same.
I was surprised at
I felt emotional. I did feel emotional.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I felt emotional for her, but also weirdly, even though I know basically he was almost left with no option because the money had dried up and everyone was saying no, I still felt a swell of, God, it's rare to do something that is genuinely not in their personal best interest. That is, I mean, I know he had no other option really, and ultimately is in his best interest because it saves his legacy. But still, to watch an old white man seed the ground and to really do it wholeheartedly, in the end, I was moved. I even thought little Jill's little heart emojis got me too.
Oh my God, Michael's so emotional at the moment. He really is.
I can't exercise.
Hormones are all over the place, poor thing. Now, DNC Chair Jamie Harrison has said some crap about there's going to be a transparent and orderly process to select the nominee, whatever. So let's get to the crux of it all.
Yeah.
She raised a record $81 million in the first 24 hours.
Amazing.
Cash came flowing in, right? So she's got all the fucking donors on side.
Yeah.
So tick. First hurdle, the money's back.
Yeah.
She's also going in hard on Generation Z. She's going in for these kids who were protesting what's happening in Palestine, who, are out there on the ground, who are prepared to show up to things. So she's banking on them turning up when they probably weren't going to, let's be honest.
And also, it's really, I know there's a lot of of us out there, myself included, that are just sort of having this almost PTSD about 2016 with Hillary. But it is worth reminding yourself that was 8 years ago. And, like, let's be frank about it. That means 8 years worth of boomers have died and 8 years worth of Z have come in. It's just the truth. It's what mathematically has happened. It is shifted. 8 years is a lot.
Yeah.
And
2 weeks is a lot.
Yeah. And
at this current pace.
It's a big amount. It's a different electorate out there, and there is a new generation that now might kind of have something that they might feel excited to vote for
and
maybe.
to fight for.
Yeah, like when Obama came in, suddenly all these younger people felt like...
It's true. It energizes that next generation who are now legally able to vote. They weren't allowed to vote 8 years ago when Hillary was running, you know.
Totally. They were in primary school.
Exactly. So, look, she's got all that on her side. The thing I want to explain to people, if you're not as obsessed as we are, it's not a crowning. This is not her being crowned as VP. That's not how it works. This is something that she has to actually fight for and win. Now, we're looking at the first open Democratic convention since the 1950s.
Yeah, but will she have a competitor, though?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. And I think it might be, now I know I'm stretching here, but I think it might be for looks.
Yes, I've wondered about that.
And this is... I want to talk about why I know the Obamas haven't said anything yet.
Yeah.
And I've really thought about this. But I do think they want it to appear as though she's earned it, not inherited it.
Yes. Well, because those of us that lived through either Julia Gillard or Theresa May know there is nothing, particularly for a woman, because we have so many issues with women wanting power. But then if it's seen, the only thing worse than that is if it's seen that there's been some sort of backroom deal that's got the woman power. Yeah. That is such a cross to bear. Yeah. So
I don't think it's a bad thing that we're going into an open DNC. I don't.
No, nor do I.
I think it actually works in her favour.
I agree. Yeah. I imagine that Nancy has been on the phone saying to people, look, you need to run, you need to go, and yes, you are going to lose, but it is your service and we will remember, and it's what she needs.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Nancy, what's happened today?
Nancy has endorsed Kamala. Officially, which was somewhat of a surprise because people thought she was going to sort of stay with the Obamas and with Chuck Schumer.
And George Clooney. Apparently, very powerful.
George Clooney has not said anything.
He's the most powerful person in the Democrat Party.
I mean, I think, I understand him thinking he put himself mega out there and it
worked.
It totally worked.
He got careful what you wish for, Clooney.
But I understand a thing of I've said enough.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
He's like, if this all goes tits up, Clooney's a part of that.
Totally.
Now, the thing Nancy has said, you know, I support it. Mm-hmm. It's great. There's always been tensions between those two. They do not get along.
Really?
Nah, absolutely
Kamala
not.
and Nancy?
Mm-mm. Nah.
What
They've never, weirdly when they're together, it's always this, there's no chumminess between them whatsoever. Right. And I also know there's always a lot of issues between the West Wing and the VP office. Yes. Because the idea...
early, wasn't it? Early.
Well, they were shitty that he gave her the poison chalice of immigration.
Yeah.
Like they feel like he handed her the hardest thing and barely mentioned her. She didn't get to actually be who she truly is. She was very much muzzled and held in these tight confines of who she was really allowed to be. And the true Kamala never really got to be out there.
And there was a time where she did an incredibly popular response to Israel-Palestine and she was told not to say anything more.
And also Biden could never bring himself to say the word abortion because he's Catholic.
Her strongest moment for me was when she went to that abortion clinic and she was just so clear and frank and he wasn't saying the word.
Yeah, so it feels like we've never really got to see her be herself, and I think these next few weeks we are going to be seeing Kamala as who she is.
Well, we've already. She's come out day one.
She's coming out. And we see it. And she gave this incredible speech.
That's good.
We're going to do a little okay stop on the speech in the sealed section. Michael cried again. It involves Beyonce, like we're beside ourselves. Also in the sealed section, I want you to know we're going to discuss the VP candidates. So don't worry. That's going to be full of juicy stuff. The thing that's working against her is the fact that the fact that she's from California. Like that's a tough for a president to be from there. They've got to be really fucking good.
Yeah.
So that's really working against her because that state doesn't. It's blue, whatever.
No,
like
bird in the hand.
Yeah, we need.
And also the rest of the country thinks California wankers.
They hate him.
Yeah.
They hate him. But I think...
Well, and they, she did get immigration, and that's Donald Trump's biggest.
Yeah, but immigration's dropped by 40% since Mexico elected their first female president. So it's interesting to see. Obviously, we're not a monolith, us women. So we don't just say, two women, well, they're probably going to get together and create a just because they've got vulvas. But I'm very interested to see if the president of Mexico, who has managed to reduce immigration, backs her some way publicly.
I think she'd feel happier about backing her than Trump.
I agree. And if they can get that to happen, that almost is like a block to that criticism of her. And the other thing is Trump is now the old doddering dude in the race.
So
what a 180. What a 180.
And he is seething, and it's so obvious. And also, he's been so pathetic. Every attack and everything. And also, weirdly, I feel like misjudged. I feel like I have to sometimes pay him credit for getting a terrible name or something like that really sticks. But I feel like with this one, he's swinging around. His big argument, that Joe's not fit to be president to the end of the term, I just feel like, what? We're not worried about, he can make it till next January.
Yeah.
We don't want to go to January 2029 or whatever it was going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
That's weird. And also, he's nickname for her is Laughing Kamala.
And
exactly. And also, don't pick something that's just going to be very easy for her. I could see in the speech, she did laugh a couple of times, but she was very careful to keep it under control. Don't pick. That's going to be very easy for her to. Is that the best you got?
Why is that a negative thing?
Exactly. And it just means they put together clips of her laughing. It's kind of like, I like it.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, I think he's going back to his old ways, which says he's under stress, of just being a loose fucking cannon. So that's very interesting.
Oh, and the poetic justice of, so we picked JD Vance. And that pick, we know he's already a bit sus on him because I had not properly appreciated his body language when JD was doing his speech. Not into him. Firstly, now that everything's changed, made sense. Pick the youth when we're up against the very old man. Now not so good. And also he's picked the hard abortion guy, and now we're up against a woman who is all about women's reproductive rights. But then also the element of it, obviously where he would go with Kamala and where he no doubt will go is racist dog whistles. Obviously, he has picked a VP whose children are Indian and whose wife is. And I don't think that'll stop him. In fact, I don't even think it'll stop JD Vance. But it does somewhat... It's not ideal for him if he wants to lean into the racism.
The pick is wild, and he picked it. And it was so narrow. When you pick a VP, he assumed Joe was going to be who was up against, so it works. Surely someone was risk mitigating going, okay, but does he work if Kamala's... Do you know what I mean?
I don't know that they were. Also, because the weird thing about that convention...
They just saw the beard.
They did not mention her really in that entire convention.
No, the whole thing was spent tearing down the guy that doesn't really matter anymore.
And that's why I know a lot of people are saying, it's so late for her to get in. But I just think the gift of they ran their whole convention on the wrong candidate and they can't get another one.
It's wild.
That's it.
It's wild. And so, look, yes, she's been in training for the job, so that's good. Tick. The open convention is going to be 50-50. I'm revising my strategy for the convention.
Okay.
I want a quick early vote so we show all delegates are on board. Bang.
Yeah.
She's announced, and then the rest of it is her coronation.
Okay.
They can't draw it out or make it some fucking RuPaul's Drag Race for the Democratic Party.
So you want her to have a competitor?
I want her to have a competitor.
Yeah.
I want there to be competitors.
You want them to be respectable but a bit shit.
Yeah. Then I want her to just resoundingly win. We're all like, okay, she's fucking earned this.
Yeah.
And then we go into coronation. And
so
it's about
who do
pumping
you think
up.
is the competitor?
Gretchen. Oh, no, she's already said
She's
no.
endorsed her. Yeah.
Who hasn't endorsed yet that was involved?
I think it's hard. Some people say that Joe Manchin was going to
Whoever hasn't, it won't be hard to pick. Pelosi's been on the blower. You can't say anything. Whoever hasn't said anything, will be the person that comes forward knowing that they're going to get their knees chopped off. I feel like...
I think... when
Barack-
Pelosi endorsed, my read on that was she tried to get a competitor and she realised no one was going to do it because no one wants to look like they're defying Joe's wishes and no one wants to be the person to try and chop down the first woman of colour.
Oh, my.
And so...
If
and
I
she's
hear
like,
one more
damn it, all right,
reference
I'll just endorse it then.
to identity politics. Oh, God, the Republicans are going on and on and on and on about that.
Well, they're going to try and say that she's like mega left-wing and liberal, but it doesn't really.
She's actually not.
No. She's tough on crime.
She's very tough on crime.
He's a right-wing lunatic. That's the someone is extreme in this equation, but it's not her.
So, look, the next few months are going to be electrifying. I'm lamenting our favourite show not being on the telly, The Circus.
It's off now.
I can't. Why did they choose? I bet you they're all kicking themselves.
Yeah.
The Circus was out. I don't know where am I going to for that level of excellence? I'm struggling. What are you watching for wrap-ups? Like Jon Stewart?
Yeah, I always do him, and I always do Bill Maher, and and Stephen Colbert, and I sort of circle around. Where is Samantha?
B?
Yeah. And then obviously the podcasts. I mean, The Rest is Politics is always great. I mean, there's
fucking Scaramucci was on The Rest is Politics this week. He's disgusting, but he loves Kamala.
He loves it. No, I found my way with him. I do. He's a bit skin crawling, and the legacy is not great. But
the legacy is terrible, and his language is. And I love how everyone else on the podcast just either steamrolls him or doesn't acknowledge the language he uses. Because some of the language, if he says lefty woke agenda, and they just thought, I can hear all the Englishmen on that podcast rolling their fucking eyes. But he loves Kamala. He should have. Did you listen to this?
Yes, said that she's
powerful.
Also, and this is the other thing about her is that he said, which I really think is true, and I hope this is going to pay off. He says she's underestimated.
Totally.
Because people have always said incompetent, but she just really has not really had those chances.
No,
not since
because she was polling so badly. Joe's team felt that he needed to be distanced from her. Basically.
I think it's worth saying with polling.
Everyone polled badly.
And
politicians, full stop.
People hate politicians at the moment. There is no politician that's loved.
I'm gagging for the new round of polls. I want to know.
I'm
tipping 47
nervous
for her. I'm tipping a jump from 43 to 47. I think she's going to leapfrog Trump.
The other thing that's so bananas about all of this is, like, it's not a question of is she going to get more votes from him. The question is just can she do well in those states? It's so ridiculous. And people always talk about, is this democratic? The weirdest thing that's undemocratic is that she'll probably romp it in by millions, but it still might not be enough because she just has to get the Rust Belt.
And to speak to how she's going to get the Rust Belt, you're going to have to listen to Insulation Extra.
What a segue.
Because the key to the Rust Belt is the VP, which we are going to discuss. I have many theories on this.
Okay.
That is going to be happening in the sealed section because Mama's got to pay the bills. And that's the good stuff. Thank you for being here. I'll see you this weekend, Adelaide and Perth.
And Bunbury.
Please come, Bunbury. Come on, babes. I'm playing at Breck. It's going to be a great show. Breck.
Is that the name?
Bunbury Regional Entertainment Centre. Yes, I'm playing there. Come along. Sealed section, we're going to be doing a little OK stop on Kamala's very emotional speech in which she invoked Beyonce. Joe paid a visit. Her husband introduced her. Michael cried. We're going to be looking at that. We're also going to be discussing how she gets those swing states in her little back pocket.
I hope.
And VP.
That's how she does it, the VP.
I hope that the Democratic campaign team have Insulation.
I'm pretty sure they do.
We are the pundits that they're wanting.
I hope you've got an extra subscription.
Could make the difference.
Correct. Bye.
Bye.
To enjoy today's sealed section of Insulation, upgrade your experience and join the Extra family with our premium service, Insulation Extra. You get 2 bonus episodes direct to your favourite podcast app every week in an exclusive feed, as well as an Ask Me Anything where Em and Michael answer your questions. There's over 70 other episodes awaiting you already, plus you'll also get Instagram close friends access, ticket pre-sales, merch discounts, and heaps more. Help Em keep this independent neurodivergent business alive by supporting us for less than $2 a week on our yearly plan or less than $2.50 a week on our monthly plan. Just sign up at emsolation.supercast.com now. Emsolation is recorded at Down the Hill Studios, hosted by Em Rossiano with Michael Lucas. Executive produced by Benjamin Wasley, produced by M. Rossiano. Edited by Ezekiel Fenn and videos by James Henderson. Socials by Benjamin Wasley, M. Rossiano and Marcella Rossiano Barrow, with assistance from Jem Evans and Isabella Hines. Follow us on Instagram at Emsolation Podcast, or you'll find a link in our bio so you can sign up for our weekly newsletter, join other Emsolators at the Emsolation Group on Facebook, follow our YouTube and TikTok channels, and so much more. Help us out by sharing Emsolation with your friends, give us a 5-star rating, and make sure you're following us by hitting the follow button on your favourite podcast app. Thanks for listening and or watching this week's episode, and we can't wait to chat with you again soon.